Okay, so let me tell you what's been happening the past kind of like few days. Towards the end of last week, there was a black and white cat. My next door neighbour feeds a different stray cat, so there's always a water bowl out there, and there is a nice like waterproof shelter. So this black and white cat turned up. I opened the door and it was super friendly. And one of the reasons I opened the door was because actually the other stray cat that next door is named Jones was also in the garden, and they were just staring at each other, and then my cat was inside the kitchen staring at those two staring at each other. Well, I didn't want the two cats to end up fighting. I did give it a little bit of food because it came running over and was super friendly, but was also very skittish. So the movements, so the noises, it would dart back away again. So I called it over with a couple of treats. It pretty much inhaled those treats. It seemed very hungry. And at first, I actually thought the cat was healthy. And I thought maybe it's got a bit lost. So I took a picture of it, posted it online. Has anybody lost this cat? Couldn't find an owner for it. I thought that it was lost or that it was a stray. Something about it, I just knew it didn't look right. I didn't see it for a few days after that. But then all of a sudden it was back, and this was a couple of days ago. It was outside. I opened my kitchen door and it ran into my kitchen, ran to my cat's food and tried to steal the food. So I didn't think that was a good sign that it had a home if it was back and lingering around. It stayed around for quite some time. I gave it some milk. I didn't want to feed it because I didn't want to chance enticing it away from a loving home. Put down something black, and I did put a little bit of food down the other side of it to get the cat onto the black material. And after the cat ate the little bit of food and moved, there was a couple of white bits that retracted. Worms. That's worms. Also, what I noticed is what I thought was a healthy looking cat, actually this cat, when it was walking, its belly was rounded like this. It looked like it had swallowed a basketball. It was very pronounced. It looked like either it was pregnant or it's got such a bad case of worms that it's making its stomach swell, and that means it's had worms for quite some time. If it's pregnant, it could be looking for somewhere quiet, dry and warm to have its litter. Something needed to be done. So yesterday I took to social media a little bit, but I also emailed the local vets, and the local vet is literally across the road from where I live. I can see it from my window. They gave me some great advice. Try and put a paper collar on it if you can. They were happy that if I could capture it into a cat carrier, that they would check it over, check it for a chip, check see if it has got worms, check if it is pregnant, all the health and stuff like that. And they would try and find its home even if it wasn't chipped. And I thought that would be my best bet, because that vet is the only vet in town. If it lives locally, it's going to be registered at that vet. By the time I received a reply, I was starting to feel quite bad, because the cat was outside. It was hanging around, and there's a bench outside my kitchen window, a little garden bench, and it was sat on there. And at one point, late-ish last night, just before we came up to bed, my next door neighbour knocked on my door because it's a black and white cat. I have a black and white cat. My next door neighbour thought that my cat had somehow got out, because I couldn't hear it because of the noise of the boiler and things like that in my house, but it was sat outside my kitchen windowsill, meowing its head off very loudly. My next door neighbour could hear it, and as soon as I opened the door, it was like it had seen its mother or something. It came running over. Unfortunately, my boyfriend was stood at the sink, so it came running in the house, took one look at him and ran back out again. It was shivering, it was cold, so I gave in and I gave it some food. It was starving. It inhaled the food. It was trying to eat it so fast I thought it was going to choke on it. But it was too late to do something. Vets was closed, so I had to leave it outside overnight, and I felt awful. So I woke up this morning and was like, right, I'm going to capture it. I'm going to take it across the vets. Vets is open on a Sunday. I get up first thing to make a cup of tea, and what is sat outside my house but black and white cat. I've managed to get the cat in the carrier. It's meowing a little bit, it's scratching obviously to try and get out, but it went in very easily, just threw some treats in. Its bum was hanging out, just kind of pushed it with the metal door. Don't know if you can see that very much at all, but that's the cat. Now, my cat did come to say hello and was very intrigued. However, probably because he is a male cat and territory and all that, he hissed at it. So I thought, that's not a good sign. So I've shut Manila out into the rest of the house, which I'd have to do when I leave anyway. But it's only 20 to 9 now, so I've got 20 minutes of that cat sitting in there. But I couldn't put it anywhere else, and I couldn't let it loose because there are so many hiding places in this house, in this living room, and because I may have lost its trust a little bit by shoving it into that cat carrier, I might not be able to get back in again, so I don't want to risk letting it out. So as soon as it hit about a minute to 9 o'clock, I was out that door and I was across the road at that vet. Told the veterinarians everything I knew about it from the past few days. They are going to check it for worms, check what gender it is, all that malarkey, make sure that it doesn't need anything else. They're going to try their best to try and find its home. If not, it's going to go into a cattery. But she said it's such a beautiful looking cat, it won't hang around in a cattery, in a rescue. It will get snapped up. It's a lovely cat, and because overall generally it's friendly, it's had a home at some point. It's obviously just got lost or abandoned. Something's happened to it. It does have a home, and it's been lost that we can find its new home. My feelings are all over the place because my cat did hiss at it. That could be shock and surprise. Wasn't expecting a cat to be in its living room, even though the other cat was in a carrier. It might have just been a one-off reaction. I don't know. I didn't really give him a chance. As soon as he hissed, I kind of kicked him out the living room. The other cat wasn't actually too distressed in the cat carrier. It was getting on alright. It would start to sort of grumble every now and again. I'd give it a treat. It would start purring at me. It was super friendly and really seemed to like me. And I am really, really torn because I've kind of got a little attached to it and I miss it already. And I kind of want the cat. So I'm going to see what the vet says. Now, if it's another boy cat, it's not going to happen. My cat's a boy cat, and because he's an indoor cat, this is his territory. He's probably not going to put up with another male. If it does happen to be female, then there's a chance. So I'm a bit sad at the minute. I get attached a little too easily to animals, I think, and that's probably why I feel this way. And I know that in time, I'm not going to feel sad. Probably in a day or two I won't feel sad. But every now and again, I am going to wonder if that cat is okay. I guess I'll just have to wait and see what the vet says. The vet rang me at 10:30. Appears that the cat is a boy, so I've decided to call him Bob. That way it just differentiates him from my cat, and if I keep saying he all the time, it doesn't make it as confusing. Bob has a chip, but it's not registered, so don't know where his house is. What they wanted me to do is, I'm not going to take him to a rescue. They're hoping that if he's from a home, because he's so friendly and he's just got a little lost, he might be able to find his way back. They gave him a worming tablet, lasts 48 hours but should kill everything. He can have more worming stuff in a couple of days. So I have a couple of options. So they wanted me to pick Bob up and release him back into the garden where I found him, which is obviously my back garden, see if he can find his way home. I picked him up, and instead of just taking him round to the back and releasing him, I decided to give another go at bringing him into my house and seeing how Manila reacts. Now, unfortunately, because they're both boys, I wasn't expecting anything good, but Manila, who has never hissed in his life before, was hissing like crazy. He was very distressed about having another cat in his house, so I had to close the living room door with Bob still in the carrier in there and get Manila upstairs into the bedroom and close that door so that I could get Bob out of the back way into the garden. I put Bob in the garden, So the carrier that he was in, because it's one I'm never going to use again, I've left that out there, and I've put a couple of pieces of old clothing in there that's a bit fleecy and a bit warmer, and I put a couple of treats just on the inside that he went to grab, so he knows that there's something there that's warm. He wouldn't quite go back into it again because, you know, it was a little bit traumatic for him being in there. But he did well overall. He did quite well. He hasn't been neutered. The options are, there is no way he could be my cat because of the way Nilla reacted, and I've got to think about Nilla first. This is his house. So the options are, the most favourable one being that I'm going to check later, see if he's still hanging around. He has had a little bit of food and a little bit of cat milk because I couldn't just leave him hungry, especially after him being that distressed. So I'm going to check, see if he's around when it starts to get dark and cold later. If he is, I can't see he's going to go anywhere, so I'll feed him again. To me, I'm 99% sure that he is lost. He's had a home before, but he has got thoroughly lost. It appears that he's been outside for some time and just happens to have found his way here. If he is still hanging around tomorrow, I have some numbers for some cat rescues. I'm going to ring probably Cat Protection and get them to come and get him, and hopefully he can find a loving home. If he did have a home previously, then hopefully, I'm not confident it would happen, but hopefully he could find his way back to them. You know, until tomorrow morning I'm going to worry if he's going to come back or not, if he is going to stick around. He's got worms so badly that his stomach is fully rounded. That's a good boy. Look at that face. Hello. Well, we have a happy ending. Sorry for the crazy hair, I've been running around a bit. We have a happy ending in the adventures of Bob. Bob is actually called Simba, and he's been missing for 5 months from a house that isn't even in this town. It's roughly in my area, but it's kind of like a town over. I was having a last ditch attempt to see if I could find him, and I found a group on Facebook for lost and found pets, and I was just generally scrolling through just on the off chance that I saw his picture with somebody saying he's missing, and I went right back to June and I found a post, and he has this little black smudge on his nose that is very distinctive. So as soon as I saw that picture and I saw the black smudge, I was like, I think that might be him. So I messaged the guy, he got back to me quite quickly. I got some photos of him because he was still lingering in the back garden, because obviously I'd fed him some food. Straight away the guy was like, oh my god, that's him. And he's been round and he's picked him up. We managed to get him in the carrier. He looks a bit chunky, but that's because he's full of worms, unless other people have been feeding him as well. The guy has kids as well, and he said they had kind of given up hope of ever finding him again. So he was so pleased. His kids are going to be over the moon, and I'm so glad that there has been a happy ending to this little cat rescue adventure. I gave him the food that I'd been feeding the cat because there was some half tin left and there was some treats. So I said, have this, so he's got some food for tonight. That's it, guys. Happy endings. We love those happy endings. So thanks for watching this crazy adventure, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.